What do you do when your own family votes you out like you're some kind of reality show? Reject, I'm Daniel, the guy who's been the quiet backbone of this dysfunctional circus, sitting at a Thanksgiving table that smells of turkey and betrayal, surrounded by faces I've loved and funded for years. My sister Natalie, with her pageant queen smile, stands up wine glass in hand and declares, "We voted and you're not family anymore." The room erupts in cheers, my cousin Laura claps like it's a concert, Uncle Mitch toasts with his Merlot, and my own mother, the woman who birthed me, laughs and says, "Well, someone had to say it." My dad sips his beer, muttering, "Probably for the best." My gut clenches not from shock, but from the weight of a truth I've carried too long. They've been bleeding me dry while sneering behind my back. I knew this was coming. I felt it in the way Natalie's texts got colder in Mom's one-word replies in the family dinner I wasn't invited to. So I'm ready. I push my chair back, the scrape loud against their laughter, and say, "Then I guess you won't need this." I place a thick folder on the table. Thunk! And the room goes still. Natalie's smirk falters as she eyes it like it's a bomb. She's not wrong. I'm the single guy. No kids, just me and my dog in a tidy apartment making six figures and keeping my life drama-free. Or so I thought. For years, I've been the family's ATM, paying for weddings, surgeries, fake emergencies, all while they mocked my quiet life. Too cold, too alone, too childless. Natalie, the golden girl, could lie to your face and make you thank her. Me, I'm the shadow, the one who doesn't need the spotlight but still gets burned. This dinner with its lumpy stuffing and cranberry sauce is the breaking point. Natalie's voice drips with rehearsal as she says, "You've been toxic for years. We're done pretending." My mother nods, reaching for the potatoes like we're debating the weather. "It's unanimous," she adds. I scan the faces, Laura, Mitch. Dad, no one meets my eyes. Fine. I lean back, fold my arms, and say, "Why don't you open it, Nat?" She snatches the folder, her smirk twisting like she's already won. She flips the first page. Her face drains of color. By the second, she's screaming a horror movie wail that makes forks clatter. Joel, her husband, grabs it, his jaw dropping as he reads. "Is this?" he starts. I nod. It's all real. The folder holds 5 years of receipts, bank transfers, emails, texts, begging for cash, screenshots of Natalie calling me a cash cow with no spine. Over $78,000, I've sent them $8,000 for Joel's rehab, $12,000 for Mom's credit card debt, $400 to $500 for a family emergency. That was a Cabo trip. Not one repayment, not one thank you without a smirk. And then there's the kicker proof of Natalie's hotel stay in Santa Monica with someone named Alyssa paid on my dime. Joel's voice shakes. "What's this about Santa Monica?" Natalie slams the folder shut, screaming, "You! Monster!" Gasps ripple. My mother's mouth opens, fish-like, no words. I stand slow and calm. "You were so sure I'd stay quiet, the doormat, the cash cow. Your little show's over. I've been their scapegoat, their wallet, their punchline. But tonight, I'm done." The air feels thick like the moment before a storm breaks. I've got more in my bag, another envelope, legal papers, but I hold off. Let them stew. Let them see what happens when you bite the hand that's fed you for years. I'm not just walking away, I'm rewriting the rules. And as Natalie's eyes dart to Joel, to me, to the folder, I know this is only the start of their unraveling. Natalie's scream still echoes in my ears, a jagged sound that cuts through the Thanksgiving haze of gravy and forced cheer. She's standing, her chair tipped over, clutching the folder like it's a live grenade. Her face is ghost-white, eyes wide, darting from me to Joel, who's flipping through the pages with a look that's half confusion, half rage. "What is this?" he snaps, holding up a bank transfer receipt. $4,200 for a Santa Monica hotel stay, booked under Natalie's name with some woman named Alyssa. "You told me that was a work trip," he says, his voice low, dangerous. Natalie stammers, It's not what you think," but her words trip over each other. No charm to save her now. The table's frozen. Uncle Mitch's wine glass hovers midair, Laura's hands are clasped tight, and Mom's staring at the cranberries like they'll whisper her an escape plan. I lean back, arms folded, letting the folder do the talking. Every page is a landmine: $8,000 for Joel's rehab, $300 for Natalie's emergency veneers, $12,000 for Mom's credit card debt. And then the screenshots, Natalie's private messages calling me manipulative for saying no to her Instagram story about cutting out toxic people. She thought I'd never see it. She was wrong. You kept records. Mom finally croaks, her voice shaking like she's the victim here. Of everything, I nod calm as the lake I used to fish at with Dad. You never remembered, so someone had to. Natalie's fists clench, her nails digging into the folder's edge. This is a violation, she spits, turning to Joel. He's twisting everything. But Joel's not listening. He's on a page with a text thread, Natalie to her friend, laughing that I'm a cash cow with no spine. His jaw tightens. You said he was the problem, he says, not looking at her. You said he was turning everyone against you. Natalie's mouth opens, but nothing comes out. For once, her pageant smile's gone, replaced by something raw, panic, maybe shame, but I doubt it. She's too good at playing the martyr. Joel, don't start, she snaps, but he's already on the next page, the one with the hotel receipt. Who's Alyssa, he demands. The room's so quiet I hear a fork clink in the kitchen. Natalie's silence screams louder than her earlier wail. I could let this unravel on its own, but I don't. It's all there, I say, my voice steady, cutting through their chaos. Every transfer, every text, every lie. 5 years, $78,000. You took, and when I said no, you voted me out. My mother tries to speak, her hands fluttering like she's waving away smoke. Daniel, honey, let's be reasonable. Reasonable. I cut her off sharper than I meant. You laughed when she said I wasn't family. You clapped. Laura flinches, her concert applause a ghost in her hands now. Uncle Mitch sets his glass down, muttering, didn't know it was like that. Didn't know they all knew. They knew when I paid for Natalie's wedding half the cost from my savings while Mom and Dad took their cruise. They knew when I covered Laura's tuition, when I sent money for Dad's surgery, when I bailed Mom out of debt. They knew, and they mocked me for it. Too quiet, too single, too useful. Joel's still staring at the folder, his knuckles white. You lied to me, he says to Natalie, his voice breaking. About the money, about him, about Santa Monica. She shakes her head, tears welling up, but they're fake, the kind she's used to get out of traffic tickets. He's making me look bad, she cries, pointing at me. He's always been jealous. I laugh soft and cold. Jealous of what, your wellness cafe dreams you wanted me to co-sign, or your ability to lie to everyone's face? The table's a graveyard now, everyone staring at the folder like it's the only thing holding the room together. And maybe it is. I planned for this, stayed up nights, compiling every receipt, every screenshot, knowing they'd push me too far. I didn't expect it to hurt this much, though. The sting of their cheers still burns, but it's fading, replaced by something sharper: control. I've got one more move, another envelope in my bag, but I wait. Let them choke on this first. Natalie's eyes meet mine, and for the first time she looks small. Good. The chaos at the table lingers like smoke from a doused fire. But my mind drifts back, pulling me into the roots of all this, because Natalie didn't just wake up one day and decide I wasn't family. That kind of venom builds over years, brick by brick, betrayal by betrayal. I was never their favorite, not even close. Natalie was the star, the golden girl with her good grades, big smile, and that effortless way of working a room. She could lie straight to someone's face and make them thank her for it, like the time she got me grounded at 14 for a party I didn't even attend, spinning a tale so convincing that Mom believed her without question. Me. I was quiet, private, the one who didn't need attention, and they hated that. They took my silence as weakness, something to poke at during family gatherings where I'd sit in the corner reading while Natalie held court with her stories. Even as kids, it was clear she was the sun and I was the shadow, always eclipsed. I moved out at 19, paid for college myself, with 2 jobs, flipping burgers and stocking shelves, never asking for a dime. Meanwhile, Natalie flunked out of 2 majors, went to Europe to find herself on a whim, then came home and married Joel, the human equivalent of a LinkedIn profile in a blazer, polished, ambitious, but hollow underneath. Their wedding, I paid for, half dipping into my savings because my parents couldn't afford it, but somehow they still managed a 2-week cruise right after posting pictures of sunsets and cocktails while I worked overtime to recover. I didn't complain. I never did. Even when they joked that I was the family accountant, I kept helping, paying for Dad's dental surgery, sending money when Mom said the heat bill was overdue, even covering part of Laura's tuition when she got waitlisted for a scholarship. They always said thank you, sure, but with that tone, the one that said, well, of course you'd help. You don't have a family of your own. And maybe that's what stung the most. See, I'm single, no kids, no spouse, no drama, just me, my work, and my dog. Buster, who greets me at the door with a wagging tail and no expectations. In their eyes, that meant I had nothing better to do than fund their messes like my life was some empty vessel waiting to be filled with their needs. Natalie especially treated me like her personal failsafe. When Joel lost his job, she called me first. "Just a small loan, Daniel. You're doing so well." When her car broke down, "You make six figures. What's 2 grand?" When her kid needed therapy and insurance wouldn't cover it. Yeah, guess who she called? I always helped, always, because I told myself it was family. But helping turned into obligation, and then into expectation, and then into demand. It started small, backhanded jokes at dinner. "Oh, you brought wine. Must be nice to afford good wine. Of course you're early, you have no kids to worry about. I wish I could work late every night and avoid my husband too." Then it got uglier. "You're so cold. Maybe that's why you're still alone. You don't understand real stress. You don't have a real life. You're just bitter that no one needs you." Except they did need me constantly financially, quietly behind closed doors. And the more I gave, the more they took it for granted, like I was some endless, well, they could dip into without ever saying a real thank you. Back at the table now, with the folder splayed open, those memories flood in, sharpening the moment. Joel's still grilling Natalie about Alyssa, his voice rising. 3 nights. On his money. Mom tries to intervene, her voice wobbly. "Can we all just calm down?" But I'm not calming down, I'm connecting the dots aloud. "You all saw this coming?" I say, looking around. "From the day I left home, you treated me like an outsider unless I was paying." Natalie got the praise, the parties, the passes for her screw-ups. I got the bills. Laura shifts uncomfortably, probably remembering the $6,000 I sent for her college move-in costs, which she spent on dorm decor and never mentioned again. Uncle Mitch avoids my gaze. He was there for the jokes, laughing along. "Dad?" He's staring at his beer the same way he did when I was a kid, and Natalie blamed me for breaking her bike even though she crashed it herself. He never stood up then, and he's not now. The air feels heavier, laced with the scent of cooling turkey and unspoken regrets. But mine aren't for helping, it's for letting them diminish me so long. I was the reliable one, the steady hand, but they twisted that into a flaw. And as Natalie snaps back at Joel denying everything, I realize this folder isn't just proof. It's my way of reclaiming the narrative they stole from me years ago. The accusations hang in the air like the lingering aroma of overcooked turkey, bitter and inescapable, as Joel presses Natalie for answers she can't spin her way out of. Her denials falter, crumbling under the weight of those printed pages, and for a moment, I almost feel a flicker of pity, not for her, but for the illusion she's built that's now shattering in front of everyone. But pity fades fast when I remember how we got here, how my voluntary help morphed into their entitlement, a slow poison that seeped into every family interaction until it choked the life out of any real bond we had. It wasn't always like this. At first, giving felt good, like I was the steady one holding things together, the brother who showed up when no one else would. But over time, those acts of kindness became chains, each favor a link they forged without my realizing, until I was bound by their expectations. It started innocently enough, or so I told myself. After I graduated and landed my first real job, Natalie called one night, voice sweet as pie. Her car had broken down and she needed 2 grand to fix it. "You're doing so well. Daniel, what's a little help between siblings?" I wired the money the next day, no questions asked, because that's what family does. Right? Then came Joel's job loss a year later. She hit me up for a small loan to tide them over, promising to pay it back once he was on his feet. I sent it figuring it was temporary. But temporary turned permanent. The repayments never came, and instead of gratitude, I got those backhanded jabs at holidays. "Must be nice to have disposable income. No kids sucking it up. You're always so prompt with money. Wish I could be that detached from real life." They laughed it off as jokes, but the edge was there, sharpening with each dig, making me feel like my success was something to resent rather than celebrate. As the years ticked by, the asks grew bolder, more frequent, like they'd tested the waters and found them bottomless. $8,000 for Joel's rehab after he admitted to a gambling problem. Natalie swore it was a one-time thing, but I later found out it funded a recovery retreat that looked more like a spa vacation. $300 for her emergency dental work, which I discovered through the folder's receipts, was actually elective veneers to perfect that smug smile of hers. $500 for Dad's back surgery, which he grumbled about, but never followed up with a thank you card or even a call. And then $12,000 for Mom's credit card debt, racked up on shopping sprees she blamed on stress relief. I covered it all, dipping into savings, working extra hours, telling myself it was my duty as the successful one. But duty twisted into demand. Natalie started texting like it was routine. "Hey, can you spot us for Ellie's therapy? Insurance is being a pain." I did, because who says no to a kid? But even that came with a side of snark, her posting on social media about family, stepping up while privately messaging friends that I was finally useful for something. The turning point, the one that lit the fuse, was 3 months before this dinner. Natalie texted, "Hey, can you co-sign for a small business loan? Joel and I want to start a wellness cafe." I stared at the screen, my coffee going cold in my hand. A wellness cafe, with her track record of flunking majors and Europe trips? I replied no, politely explaining I couldn't risk my credit. And just like that, the cold shoulder hit. Mom stopped calling with her weekly updates. Dad's replies turned to one-word grunts. No invite to the last family barbecue. Natalie blocked me on social after posting a cryptic story about cutting out toxic people who hold you back. I wasn't surprised, but it hurt a dull ache that confirmed what I'd suspected: I wasn't family. I was funding. So I didn't sulk. I started compiling the receipts, the emails, the timelines. $6,000 for Laura's college move-in costs, which she blew on parties instead of books. $400 or $500 for a family emergency that was really a trip to Cabo, photos of margaritas popping up on Facebook days later. Over 5 years, $78,000 gone, evaporated into their lives without a trace of reciprocity. Back at the table with Joel waving the Santa Monica receipt like evidence in a trial, Natalie turns to me, eyes blazing. "You chose to help." "No one forced you," she hisses, as if that erases the manipulation. I meet her gaze, my voice even. "I chose once. Then it became expectation. And when I stopped, you decided I was the problem." Mom chimes in, tears forming. "We were under stress, Daniel. That's not fair. Not fair." The irony burns. Dad finally mutters, "You're blowing this out of proportion." But I see it in their faces, the dawning realization that the well has run dry. The entitlement was so ingrained, they didn't see it as wrong. It was just how things were. Me, the quiet one, paying silently while they lived loudly. As the arguments flare, Joel demanding details on Alyssa. Laura whispering apologies she doesn't mean. I feel the shift inside me. This isn't just about money, it's about respect or the lack of it. And as Natalie slams her hand down, calling me dramatic for the folder, I know I'm not the dramatic one. They are for thinking they could demand forever without consequence. The folder lies open now, its pages fanned out like a deck of cards in a game no one wants to play, each one revealing a hand that exposes Natalie's carefully constructed house of lies. Joel's fingers tremble as he turns another sheet, landing on the screenshot of her credit card charge, $4,200 for that Santa Monica hotel, 3 nights with Alyssa, timestamps matching texts she'd sent me claiming she was working late. His face hardens, the polished LinkedIn veneer cracking as he looks up at her. "You said it was a conference," he says, his voice a mix of hurt and fury. Who the hell is Alyssa? Natalie's pale, her fists clenched so tight her knuckles whiten, but she can't deflect this one, not with the evidence staring everyone down. "It's not what it looks like," she stammers, but the words fall flat, echoing hollow in the silent room. The family's stunned gasps rippling like aftershocks. Mom's hand flies to her mouth. Dad shifts uncomfortably and Laura stares at her plate as if the stuffing holds answers. Uncle Mitch mutters something about family matters, but no one's buying the pretense anymore. This isn't just about money. It's about the web of deceptions that's tangled us all, and I'm the one who's finally pulling the thread. Every detail in that folder is meticulously organized, a timeline of exploitation that I compiled in those quiet nights after they started freezing me out. There's the $78,000 tally at the front. Broken down by recipient, Natalie tops the list with over $30,000 alone, from veneers disguised as emergencies to that wellness cafe pitch she guilted me into considering. Then the receipts, bank wires for Dad's surgery, Mom's debt, Laura's tuition, each one annotated with dates and their casual thank yous that rang false even then. But the real daggers are the screenshots, Natalie's private Facebook comments, calling me a manipulative weirdo for refusing the loan, her Instagram DMs to a friend, laughing that I'm bitter and alone, good for nothing but cash. She didn't know I had access to that thread, a mutual contact who forwarded it out of pity. And the cherry on top, the hotel bill, cross-referenced with her social media posts from that weekend. Sunny beaches, no mention of work, just vague captions about self-care. Joel's eyes narrow on that page, now piecing it together. You used his money for this? For her? He demands. Natalie snaps back. You're believing him over me. He's twisting it all. I stay seated, letting the truths land without my interference, but inside my blood's simmering not with rage anymore, but with a cold clarity. They all thought I was the pushover, the one who'd absorb their jabs and keep paying. But seeing their faces now, the stunned realizations dawning, it's almost satisfying. Mom tries to rally, her voice shaky. Daniel, this is too much. We're family. We don't air dirty laundry like this. Dirty laundry. That's rich coming from her, the one who cashed my checks while whispering to relatives that I was cold for not having kids. You aired it first, I say quietly, pointing to the folder. When you voted me out. When you cheered. Laura pipes up for the first time, her voice small. I didn't know about the tuition money. I thought it was from a scholarship. Liar. She thanked me in a text, then spent it on a spring break trip posting photos while I worked weekends. Uncle Mitch nods along, but his toast from earlier hangs in the air like a bad joke. Dad finally speaks, gruff as ever. Son, you're making mountains out of molehills. Molehills. The $1,500 for his surgery wasn't a molehill when he begged for it. Natalie's facade crumbles further as Joel flips to the text exchanges, her begging me for the loan, then bad-mouthing me when I said no. You made him sound crazy, Joel says, turning to her fully now, the folder a weapon in his hands. You said he was turning the family against you. She explodes, then tears streaming. I had to. He was being so selfish. Selfish. The word hits like a slap, but I don't flinch. Selfish for saying no once. After years of yes, I counter. The room's electric with accusations, everyone talking over each other, Mom defending Natalie, Laura mumbling apologies, Uncle Mitch suggesting we take a breath. But Joel's laser-focused, demanding answers on Alyssa and Natalie's deflections only dig her deeper. It was just a friend, she insists. But the receipt tells a different story, timestamps aligning with flirty messages I'd screenshot from her unlocked phone at a previous dinner. Not my proudest moment, but after years of their gaslighting, I needed proof. The family's realizations hit in waves. Mom gasps at the total sum Dad mutters about the Cabo trip. Laura winces at her own entries. They're seeing themselves reflected back, greedy, ungrateful, manipulative, and it's ugly. As the arguments peak, Natalie rounds on me again. You're proving you're a control freak, printing all this control freak, I almost laugh. And you're proving you only cared when I was paying your bills. Joel stands, folder in hand, his voice tight. Is this all true, Nat? The lies, the cheating. Her silence is damning, louder than any confession. The stunned quiet that follows feels like the eye of the storm, everyone processing how deep the betrayals run. I've dismantled her not with screams, but with facts, and in doing so exposed the rot at our family's core. They're not just shocked, they're cornered, forced to confront what they've done. And as Joel demands more details, I know this is the beginning of their unraveling while mine is finally knitting back together. The room's a pressure cooker now. Accusations flying like sparks from a faulty wire, with Joel cornering Natalie on every lie the folders unearthed, his voice rising as he demands to know about Alyssa and the hotel nights she can't explain away. Mom's pleading for calm, her hands up like she's directing traffic in a storm, but there's no stopping this wreck. They've all collided with the truth, and it's messier than any of them imagined. Natalie's reduced to sputtering defenses, calling me bitter, pathetic, a control freak for daring to document what they did, but her words bounce off me like rain on a windshield. I've heard it all before, the gaslighting that kept me in line for years, but tonight, it's powerless. Dad tries one more time, his voice gruff. You're making this bigger than it is, son. Bigger. It's exactly the size they made it, $78,000 worth of exploitation, wrapped in family ties that were never real. I stand slowly, the chair scraping against the floor, and reach into my coat pocket for the second envelope, the one I prepared alongside the folder, knowing this moment might come. Wrong, I say coldly to Natalie. I'm not bitter. I'm done. I toss the envelope onto the table, and it slides toward Joel, who catches it before it falls. He opens it, scans the first page, his eyes widening. "What is this?" he whispers, flipping through the forms. I answer for him, my voice steady, final. Power of attorney for mom revoked. Medical proxy revoked. Emergency contact removed. I've already signed the papers with the family attorney. Legally and emotionally, I'm no longer responsible for any of you. Mom gasps, her hand clutching her chest like I've stabbed her. "You're cutting ties completely," she says, tears spilling now. Real ones this time, or as real as she gets. "Completely," I confirm, meeting her eyes without flinching. "You're being selfish," she sobs. "We made mistakes, but we're still your family." Mistakes. The word twists in my gut. The mistakes were deliberate, repeated, like the time she called me a parasite while cashing my check for her debt, or when Dad let Natalie blame me for everything growing up because it was easier than parenting her. "No," I say, my voice dropping to a calm whisper. "You're not." Natalie sneers through her tears, trying one last jab. "Oh, stop pretending this is some big moment. You've said you're done before. But not like this," I tell her, looking her dead in the eyes. "This isn't a threat, it's action." The room goes dead silent again, the weight of my words sinking in. Joel's still holding the envelope, glancing between it and Natalie, his marriage fracturing in real time. Laura mutters something about being sorry, but it's too late for that. Her applause from earlier still rings in my ears. Uncle Mitch looks like he wants to bolt his wine forgotten. Dad just stares, the man who never stood up for me now, facing the consequences of his silence. I grab my coat from the back of the chair, the fabric cool against my heated skin, and turn toward the door. "Listen, honey." Mom tries again, her voice softening to that manipulative plea she's mastered. "We may have overreacted, but families fight. Let's put this behind us." I cut her off. "You're not hearing me. I'm not asking for peace or forgiveness. I'm telling you I'm done. Stepping away from the table feels like shedding a skin I've outgrown, each footfall lighter than the last." The cold food sits, abandoned turkey, carved but untouched stuffing, congealed, surrounded by their stunned faces and the ugly truths I've laid bare. Natalie shouts after me. "You think this makes you the victim? You're just proving how twisted you are." But her voice fades as I reach the door, the knob turning smooth under my hand. I don't look back, not because it doesn't hurt. It does a deep ache for the family. I wished they were, but because staying would hurt more. Outside, the night air hits me like a cleanse, crisp and biting, carrying the scent of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. My car is parked under the streetlight engine, humming to life as I slide in the dashboard glow, casting shadows on my face. I don't drive straight home. Instead, I pull off near the lake Dad used to take me fishing as a kid, the water still and dark under the moon. Sitting there, engine off, I feel something shift inside me. No more guilt tugging like an anchor, no pressure to fix their messes, just stillness. For the first time in years, I can breathe the weight of their expectations lifting like fog in the morning sun. The drive home later is quiet, roads empty on this holiday night, my mind replaying the scene not with regret, but resolve. I think of Buster waiting at the door, tail wagging, uncomplicated love that asks for nothing but my presence. Tomorrow, I'll start the real changes. Freezing joint accounts, changing passwords, blocking numbers. But tonight it's enough to know I've severed the ties that bound me. They'll wake up to the reality tomorrow, no more safety net, no more wallet with legs. And as I pull into my driveway, the apartment lights welcoming, I realize freedom isn't loud. It's this quiet certainty that I'm finally choosing myself. The days after Thanksgiving blur into a haze of silence, at first the kind that feels both eerie and liberating, like the quiet after a storm has passed and left everything washed clean. I wake up the next morning to an empty inbox, no missed calls, just Buster nudging my hand for his walk, his wet nose cold against my skin. The apartment smells of fresh coffee. I brew slowly, no rush to answer anyone's emergencies. And for the first time, I don't check my phone every 5 minutes waiting for the other shoe to drop. But on the third day it starts. The messages trickle in, each one laced with that familiar guilt, as if they think they can reel me back with the same hooks they've used for years. Mom's voicemail comes first, her voice quivering. "You really mean it. We were angry, but we're still your family." I listen once, then delete it, my thumb steady on the screen. No response. Then Natalie's text, You don't even realize what you've done. Joel's filing for divorce. Are you happy? Something is really wrong with you? Happy. Not quite, but relieved. Yes, like a weight I didn't know I was carrying has finally slipped off my shoulders. Dad chimes in next. You went too far. We all said things we regret, but what you did was nuclear. Your mother's a wreck. Come fix this. Fix this. The irony hits me as I read it over breakfast, me the fixer. Now the one walking away from the mess they made. I don't reply to any of them, and honestly I thought I'd feel guilty tossing and turning at night wondering if I overdid it with the folder and the revocations. But instead, I sleep better than I have in years, the kind of deep rest where dreams don't haunt you with obligations. There's no more second-guessing every text, no late-night Venmo requests disguised as crises, no pressure to be the family's duct tape. For the first time in a decade, I can hear myself think, my mind clear, like the crisp winter air outside my window. I start small changes that feel huge, waking up early for runs along the river path, the pavement thudding under my sneakers, breath fogging in the cold. I make appointments, I've put off dentist, doctor, even a therapist, not because I'm broken, but because I'm finally allowing myself the space to heal. The therapist's office smells of lavender and old books, and in our first session I spill it all the years of being the cash cow, the betrayal at dinner, and she nods, saying, boundaries aren't revenge, they're self-respect. It clicks, solidifying what I already knew deep down. As the weeks roll into December, their attempts ramp up, growing more desperate, like they're testing every angle to crack my resolve. On the 22nd, Mom texts a picture of their living room stockings, hung a half-decorated tree, an empty space where presents usually pile up. The caption, "It doesn't feel the same without you. Ellie keeps asking why Uncle isn't coming this year." No apology, just manipulation, tugging at the heartstrings with my niece's name, as if that erases the cheers at my disownment. I stare at it for a long minute, feeling a pang for Ellie, the innocent caught in their web, but I don't bite. Delete. The next day, Natalie calls, letting it ring out before texting, I know I messed up, but you don't have to punish everyone. Just come by for Ellie. She misses you. 2 minutes later. Also, Mom and Dad are behind on their mortgage. I know you don't care anymore, but the bank called today. I thought you'd want to know. There it is, the ask, hidden in guilt, wrapped in fake concern, but always circling back to money. I block her number, the action final, like closing a door I won't reopen. Christmas Eve brings Dad's text. You made your point. We get it. But enough is enough. We need help. We're still your blood. Blood. The word sours in my mind as I sit by my small fireplace, a glass of wine in hand, the flames crackling softly. My apartment's quiet, no tree, no chaos. Just me and the peace they always said would destroy me. But it's not destroying, it's building. I've rewritten my emergency contacts, removed my parents, frozen every joint account they had access to, the bank statements now clean of their drains. A surprise message from Laura, the cousin who clapped so eagerly. I didn't know you paid for my tuition. I'm sorry I followed the crowd. You were always the one who actually helped. I read it twice, a flicker of something like validation, but no reply. Then Joel reaches out. I filed the papers. Everything in that folder checked out. She cheated, lied, manipulated, not just you, me too. You did the right thing. I should have left sooner. Unexpected, but it lands a quiet affirmation that I'm not the villain they painted. January brings more creativity from them. A call from an unknown number, a man named Mark. I'm calling on behalf of your father. He mentioned you're the primary executor of the family trust. I cut him off. I revoked that 2 months ago. It's finalized. He pauses, then admits they're in a bind, but I hang up, no more words needed. The final straw comes in February, an envelope in the mail, Mom's handwriting on the front 3 pages inside. The first is regret. We said things in anger. You've always been the strong one. We never realized how much we leaned on you. The second, guilt. Your father's health isn't good. Natalie's alone now. We're worried about Ellie, she's struggling. The third, the hook. We're selling the house but underwater on the mortgage. We just need a little help to get through this. Then we'll never ask again. Please, Daniel, do it for your father. Do it for the family. I sit with it, letting the old poles tug the responsibility, the obligation, but then I fold it, walk to the kitchen, and toss it in the trash. They're not asking for help, they're asking for access for the old me who paid silently. But that me is gone. Instead, I'm applying for jobs in other cities, not running, but expanding no more. Stay close for family. No more chains. Friends I've neglected reach out some after seeing my Reddit post saying they're proud offering support without strings. It's simple, honest, clean. And as their pleas fade into blocked silence, I feel the fallout not as loss but as gain independence blooming in the space they once filled. Months have slipped by since that Thanksgiving explosion, the kind of time that heals in quiet layers, like snow blanketing a field, until the old scars are hidden under fresh white. I didn't think sharing my story online would draw so much attention. Honestly, I just needed to put it somewhere to let the words breathe outside my head. But the comments poured in, strangers seeing me clearer than my blood ever did. "You were brave," they said. "They don't deserve you. Thank you for showing us it's okay to say enough." I read everyone letting the support sink in, a warmth I hadn't felt from family in years. And to the few who asked, "But what if they change?" I've wondered that too, staring at my ceiling on sleepless nights. But they didn't. After the folder, the screaming, the silence, and those pleading letters, I thought maybe reflection would hit them a real "we're sorry" without strings. Instead, they got quiet for a while, then strategic, then desperate, then ugly again. Mom's latest letter arrived a few days ago, handwritten just 3 words: "We're still family." No context, no apology, no shift, just the same hook, dangling like bait. For the first time, I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just a void where their pull used to be. I threw it away and made dinner chopping vegetables with steady hands. The kitchen filled with the sizzle of garlic and onions, a simple meal for one that tasted like freedom. Since cutting them off, I've rebuilt in ways I never imagined, piecing together a life that's mine, not a patchwork of their needs. I got the new job in another city, a bigger place with windows overlooking a park where kids play and dogs chase frisbees. Reminds me of Buster, who loves the longer walks we take. Now his leash loose as we explore trails I never had time for before. Therapy's become a weekly anchor, the sessions peeling back layers of guilt I didn't know were there, teaching me that kindness isn't a debt and boundaries aren't betrayal. I cook for myself regularly, experimenting with recipes from books I bought on a whim: pasta with fresh herbs, stir-fries that fill the apartment with spicy aromas, no more rushed meals between family crises. Sleep comes easier, deep and dreamless, and I wake to sunlight filtering through curtains, no phone buzzing with emergencies. I've started volunteering on weekends, not out of obligation but choice, helping at a local shelter, walking dogs like Buster, chatting with folks who appreciate the company without demanding more. It's fulfilling in a quiet way, building connections that feel genuine, not transactional. Reconnecting with old friends has been a revelation too, people I'd drifted from because I was always too tied up in family drama. We meet for coffee or hikes, laughing over stories without the undercurrent of resentment. Some saw my Reddit post and reached out, "We're proud of you, that was brave." No one asks for money, no guilt trips, just support, simple and clean. And Ellie, I think about her, sometimes wondering what she's learning from all this, if she'll grow up seeing entitlement as normal, or if my stand plants a seed of something better. Joel's update came unexpectedly, a message saying he's moved on, found peace in the truth I exposed, wishing me well without expectation. It closed a loop I didn't know was open. But with people like my family, nothing ends cleanly, especially as they feel the sting of my absence more sharply. The mortgage woes escalated from what I hear through distant relatives who reach out sporadically. Natalie's alone, scraping by post-divorce, mom and dad, downsizing to a cramped apartment, their pleas turning sharper in voicemails I delete unheard. They blame me, of course, calling it nuclear selfish, but I see it for what it is, consequences they never thought I'd enforce. I don't regret helping them back then. Those acts came from a place of love, misguided as it was. What I regret is how long it took to stop to recognize that real family doesn't vote you out when the checks dry up. So here's what I want to ask to anyone still listening. Did I do the right thing? Dropping the weight, saying no and meaning it? Was I too cold, or was I finally just done being the only one holding it all together? I don't know for sure, but I do know this: for the first time, I'm not surviving. I'm living. Thanks for reading. As the months turned into a gentle rhythm, I found myself settling into this new chapter, with a softness I hadn't known before, the sharp edges of that Thanksgiving night fading like distant echoes in a vast open field. The city welcomed me with its quiet hum, morning coffees on a balcony overlooking blooming parks, evenings filled with books and soft music. Buster curled at my feet as the sun dipped low. Therapy sessions became less about unraveling pain and more about nurturing growth, exploring joys I'd long set aside, like weekend hikes, where the trail winds through whispering trees, or cooking elaborate meals just for the pleasure of it. Friends, old and new, gathered without agenda. Our laughter light and unburdened, sharing stories that built bridges rather than walls. Even the occasional thought of Ellie brought a tender hope that perhaps in time she'd understand the value of self-respect over obligation. My family's distant struggles reached me in faint whispers, but they no longer pulled. Instead, they served as reminders of the peace I'd claimed. Regret only for the years lost, not the steps taken. In this space of freedom, I've learned that true family blooms from mutual care, not demands, and healing whispers in the stillness, a soft promise that life unweighted can be beautifully simple. And so as the days unfold, I breathe easier, living not in shadows but in light, the journey ending, not with a bang, but a gentle sigh of contentment.